Let me just come in here, if you just permit me. My apologies. Because the president clearly said that the problem that we have in this country is one that has to do with the process and not really restructuring the country. Do you think that perhaps the president has not listened clearly to some of the concerns raised by the eastern part of the country, who have called out for restructuring, the western part of the country that are also calling for restructuring, the middle belt calling for restructuring, the northern part of the country calling for restructuring? Does this, in effect, cancel the idea of restructuring in anyone's mind, going by the president's broadcast?
Thank you so much. And I want you to look at it critically. What he said, my firm. If you listen to Mr. President's speech, he said, my firm belief, that is his own firm belief, is not about the structure, but the process. But what I want you to understand, these two terms, whether you look at it in various directions, they move on together. Once you have a process is leading towards having a structure. And once you have a structure, the structure is the product of a process. All I want you to understand is that, yes, and look at it critically from what he said, that whatever kind of edifice you have, whatever kind of things you have over time and all this, there is room for you to work towards making some amendments and maybe working towards realignment and all. The idea of structuring or restructuring is not an issue of even debating. It is something that has come to stay, and it's something that all the various strata of various angles of the various region, the various ethnic nationalities and all this have talked about the need for restructuring. Why are we talking about, why are we so disturbed about the terms restructuring? Restructuring is nothing but, this is where we were before, but we needed to have a reassessment. And now that we've reassessed ourselves, there is need for us to have a way of moving to this direction. Whatever kind of pattern we're having, because you need to understand there is a structure. And this structure that we're having today, is this structure working for us? If the structure is not working for us, are there other alternatives? Are there other means for us to now deploy towards having a better way of moving on? So these are the things I want all of us to look at it critically. So I want to believe that a situation whereby all the various sectors, segments, nationalities, tribes, regions, and all that are talking about restructuring.
Let me just come in here again, because let me just come in here again. My apologies. Let's look at the productivity of the country and how this is able to get us out of the present situation that we are in today. If in 1983 we had a budget that is about 24.3 thereabout billion dollars, with a population of 80 million people, and as of today we have a population of over 180 million people with a budget that is less, thereabout $23 billion. Would you say that our productivity is dismal and will need the president to wade into this situation just so that we're able to equate or bring about some sense of balance that will affect job creation, for instance, that will improve on the refineries to even refine the products that the people of this country need?
There's no doubt about some of the things you are talking about. There is no doubt about it. These are clear things. Our over-dependence on mono economy is not helping matters at all. Over-dependence on mono economy is not helping matters. And I want you to understand a situation whereby, what we do, it is nothing but waiting for, at the end of every month, and all this, talking about subvention, federal subvention and all this allocation and all that, is not helping matters at all. We should be talking about sustainability. And this sustainability, whatever we are going to, the idea of creating structures or creating cleavages or creating units left and right just because they are to serve as means of getting money, that era is gone. What we should be talking about should be a structure that will indeed be a sustainable one, that will be the one that will lead us to the El Dorado. Not a structure that, because what we have today is an amorphous one that is not helping matters, that we are even getting, in a situation that we are not comfortable with. But the key word, what should be decisive and more unique, is about whatever we are going to do now should take us out of the present situation that we are. And what that means that it is restructuring. And by this restructuring that we're now talking about is that, yes, there is no doubt about it. So if we're talking, and I'm so happy when the former minister talked about looking at, let's say, the idea of the energy sector and all this. Is it an economic sector or a political sector. So we will need to look at this thing critically so that it is not just to look at an arm of government or a sector that is politically motivated or politically driven, but rather things should be seen to be economically driven and indeed for people to understand.
Dr. Samaila, if I may come in here, let's look at this other argument of, well, you're talking about restructuring here, but there are a lot of those who are concerned about the attitude of Nigerians. They're talking about attitudinal restructuring. What should be done? And indeed, to help create that one vision that the nation is moving towards. How can that work?
Thank you, Neta. You see, when people want to start breaking down the term restructuring to create some kind of an identity that will suit them, the key word is this, restructuring. And that restructuring is going to take various dimensions. And what kind of dimensions are we talking about? Even attitudinal mindset. The attitudinal mindset, this get-rich-quick syndrome that is in us. Get-rich-quick syndrome that is in us. You need to understand critically, in some other part of the world, what is there is patriotism. Is patriotism. You will see some people having the mark for doing good for their own country. But in our own situation here, it is not that, but rather somebody looking for a way to exploit the people and all that, just because he wants to.
Samaila, is it possible to get patriotism without a vision? I mean, someone asked the question, where is the nation going to? What's the vision of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. I want to say that, and that once you are talking about a vision should be the direction that the country is heading to. And that vision, there should be a mission that will indeed take us towards getting to that vision. And it is not just to have a vision statement or a mission statement. That kind of situation or whatever should be something that will transcend to the various parts of our society. For example, wherever you are, every organization, every ministry, every parastatal should have its own vision. Now, in having that kind of a thing, let it be that people even working in that environment key into the vision. If you don't key into the vision of an establishment of an organization, it becomes a big challenge. So one thing that is very, very important is not just for us to be having vision statement, mission statement, or sustainable development, or having it's the realistic and the sincerity towards key into this development. You don't have, most of our activities are indeed breeding with a lot of political sentiments and there's sectionalism. And once we get ourselves devoid of sectionalism, political statements and all this, and we're talking about reality, we're talking about development and all this, then we'll be working towards achieving the best. Okay. The vision, once a vision is clear, everybody will have to understand the vision statement. They will even sing the vision statement. You know very well.